Welcome to Little Big Thumbs. My name is JP, aka Big Papa Thumbs, and today we are doing a tuneful review of Match 5 from Synapsis Games. This is a party-style dice game for 2 to 8 players. It is designed by Carl Briere and artwork from Silly Jelly. This is a game that's probably going to take approximately 20 minutes and is recommended for ages 10 and up. Now, the way the gameplay, the flow of the game is going to work is that players are going to roll 5 dice. They're going to be matched up on these prompt tiles here on the table, and then players are going to have 3 minutes to write down as many connections as they can between 2 dice. So for the example we have set up on the table here, we've got a heavy Halloween. So that might be a very large pumpkin. Or over here on this side, we've got a fantasy country. So it might be Arendelle from the Frozen universe. So at the end of the 3 minutes, players are going to be sort of counting, running down their connections between every set of 2 dice. And there are 10 possibilities in every round. And so if everybody else at the table is 100% on board with an answer, or you might be able to convince them otherwise, then you'll get 1 point for every response that is unique to you. However, if anybody else wrote the same answer as you, so for instance, if one of my daughters wrote down Arendelle, then we would each receive 2 points for every answer that at least one other player has written down. At the end of 2 rounds, you can see here on our score pad here, at the end of 2 rounds, we're going to total up our points, and whoever has the most points wins the game. And that, in a very quick nutshell, is how a Match 5 works. Now, if that explanation was not sufficient for you, and I'm going to explain the rules once again in a different sort of way in song. Matchmaker, matchmaker, make me a match. Find me a find, catch me a catch. Roll all these dice and then line them all up and write a match down of your own. And then we'll compare all our answers and see if there's any that match. Oh, look how you use these dice. I can't believe Benedict Cumberbatch. Matchmaker, matchmaker, let's score the game. We'll get more points if our answer's the same. After 2 rounds, then our game will be done, and we will find out who has won! Well, I hope you enjoyed that tuneful Tuesday rundown of how Match 5 works. And now we're going to do a quick 2-part review. The first part being a Big Thumbs review, where we talk about how this game works and how it shines or maybe doesn't for adults. And then we'll go to the Little Thumbs review, where we talk about how this game works for children, and that's how we do things. So let's go Big Thumbs review. So the first thing I want to point out is that the icons on the dice are really evocative. They remind me a lot of Rory's Story Cubes, which is a fantastic storytelling game. The way the prompt tiles go together to make interesting combinations is really great, and it's probably going to inspire some interesting ideas from just about any player at the table. At the end of every round, when we enter that discussion phase where players are talking about their answers and maybe arguing for why their responses are fantastic or maybe not so much, is likely going to result in some laughter and some good times. A great conversation I found to be at the end of most rounds of Match 5. I appreciate that every die has 2 prompt tiles for it. And there are, if I didn't mention that earlier, there are 2 sets of dice. So there are 4 prompt tiles for every color of die available. And so there's going to be lots of potential combinations, mixing and matching. And of course, because the responses are coming from the players, it's going to be a lot of unique responses, a lot of replayability. Now, I will say that some of the players that I played with were not a fan of timed rounds. And then that's not for everyone because it adds a different kind of pressure, and sometimes a negative pressure, depending on the person at the table. And so that's one element that maybe isn't great for some players, but and let's face it, you can very easily set this aside or use your smartphone or whatever to make a different time frame. If you want to do 5-minute rounds, you can easily do that. But that's one strike against it. And I would also say that as a 2-player game, Match 5 is not would not be something that is a go-to for us. 2 players, maybe not as quite as vibrant as higher player counts as you might expect in a party game, but this does go up to 8 players. But that's what I have to say about that as far as the big thumbs review. And now for the little thumbs review. Now, I mentioned just a moment ago about how the timer might be a negative for this game. And in fact, when I played with my older daughter, Big Bean, we actually set aside the timer entirely, and we didn't play with that. And for the most part, we didn't use the scoring system for Match 5. We largely used it as a creative exploration, an opportunity to talk about creative ideas, creative matches, sharing ideas back and forth, and using it in that way. Match 5 was great fun for each of us. And that allowed us also to practice her writing skills. For a 5-year-old, writing skills are developing, and so being able to write down independent thoughts on these matches is a great learning opportunity. Another aspect that I really loved is the creative spark that happens with a younger player. But Big Bean, when she had an idea that was all her own, that didn't come about from conversation, but it was like, "Hey, Daddy, I got this great idea," and having that moment that is I owned this great idea is just a super fun moment to see. One aspect that I'm not entirely sure for young players is some of the prompts on these prompt tiles perhaps aren't perfectly suited to young players. Now, of course, the box does say ages 10 plus, so I'm not surprised that every prompt category isn't a perfect fit for a 5-year-old, but that is one thing to point out. If you are looking to add this game to your collection, some of the prompts might not be suited for a young player. On the other hand, though, this is a very flexible system, and so it's very easy to come up with your own prompt tiles, and that might be a great creative exercise in and of itself, to come up with your own prompt tiles for each of the dice and have your own unique set. Okay, it's time for a verdict, a big thumbs and little thumbs verdict. So first of all, as an adult experience, this is going to get 2 big thumbs up. Great opportunity for conversation and laughter and great fun all around. It plays very quickly. Obviously, 3-minute timers means that as far as gameplay goes, you've only got 6 minutes of game time, and then the chit chat between rounds. So you're talking 15-20 minutes most games. As for a little thumbs review, just based solely on the way we modified the rules for our own uses to create interesting conversation and creative exploration. In that respect, we're going to give it 2 little thumbs up. Although obviously, in the strict time frame of the game, it's not going to quite work for a young player. That kind of 3-minute pressure and writing quickly is not a good match. But as a fun time, as creative exploration, I think this is a great fit. And the fact that it can be used for adult play, but also used as a learning tool, means that this is a great product as a parent to have on our shelves. And so, in that respect, our final verdict is 2 big thumbs up and 2 little thumbs up. So if you enjoyed this tuneful review of Match 5, please let us know. Leave us a comment in the YouTube video. If you want to show us some further support, give us a thumbs up on the video. And most importantly, if you would love to follow along with our journey as we create content here for Little Big Thumbs, please hit that subscribe button. We'd love to have you along for the ride. Thank you so much for tuning in. We will see you next time. And have a great gaming day. Goodbye for now.